Local presentation of Read About It is made possible in part by a grant from Cox Communications of Oklahoma City, proud sponsor of this effort to promote reading, education, and literacy in our community.
Historical novels will be the topic on Read About It tonight. Hi, I'm BJ Williams. Marella Sands will tell us about her book, Serpent and Sand. Susie Beasley will talk with Glenn Aguilar. Kids Corner will feature Rosemary Zarsky. We also have Doug Benton, Jim Nemo, Heidi Port, and Josh Ward. Coming up, Marella Sands.
The following public service program is brought to you by the Metropolitan Library System. And now, Read About It, with your host, BJ Williams.
Every year I go to the Oklahoma Writers Federation conference that's held in Oklahoma City. It's a wonderful gathering where a lot of writers and agents, editors, publishers, and so on show up, and you can learn a great deal about the writing field. One of the authors I talked with was Marella Sands, who is going to tell us about her book, Serpent and Storm. Okay. Marella, what inspired you to write this particular book?
Well, I had written the first one in the series, and the reason I wrote that one was because I had not seen it done before. I had seen some books set in the Aztec time period when the Spanish came, but I hadn't seen anything set in earlier times with the Maya. So I did a lot of research on the history of the Maya and what different time periods I would like, and settled on what is considered the early mid-classic. So these books take place in the 430s. So I kept my research to that time period and tried to use things that were applicable within that narrow framework of time.
Mm-hmm. Now, your main character, your protagonist, Skyknife, is a priest in Tikal, isn't it?
Yes.
And was there a particular reason why you chose a priest?
Well, in the first book, he's actually like a gopher, and he becomes a priest in the first book. And I chose that for a couple of reasons. One, sometimes I think stories are more interesting if the main character isn't already the king, the pirate ship captain or whatever, but how they get there, is an interesting story. And also in this society, as a male, he would have had more access to more people, and because these end up being detective novels, then he has more of an ability to go up and interview people for, try to figure out the crimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and in this one, you send him off to the biggest city in the world. The king says, we've had some problems with Teotihuacan, and we think you're the one who can fix it. And he walks right into an awfully big mess that you had prepared for him.
Yeah, it was fun to devise that mess because Teotihuacan was so big, and you could play with all the urban ideas that weren't really part of the first book, where you have entire bureaucracies devoted to building neighborhoods or tearing neighborhoods down or organizing water or food or farming. It was really more of a bureaucratic situation, and so you had lots of bureaucrats running around, and they can be interesting characters.
Well, I was impressed with his approach. So you start out with him walking towards this big city with these masses of people that I get the feeling he had never even imagined there could be that many people in one place, and just walking into the city and being frightened simply because there's so many people around, and that's really all he can see is people. And so he's in culture shock, and then he gets thrown into there's a slight case of regicide, shall we call it?
A slight case.
And then he gets caught up in that because he's related to the king of Tikal, who is the brother of the
king of Teotihuacan.
So he has a kind of entree into the upper echelons of the city. It's not like he just walks in and has to work his way up. But also he meets some pretty interesting characters. I enjoyed the guide.
Whiskers of Rat.
Yes.
I like Whiskers of Rat, and rats are some of my favorite animals, so his name is one of my favorite names too. But he sort of patterned after a guide that my family and I had when we were in Morocco. We were there in Morocco for 5 days, and we get off the hydrofoil from Spain, and there's this guy who says, "Do you need a guide?" And we said, "Sure." And he's like, "Okay, here's Aziz, he'll be your guide." And it's like every time you turn the corner, there would be Aziz, and he would take you to stores, and he would take you to, towns, and if you needed something, Aziz would arrange it, And so I had some people tell me they thought Whiskers the Rat would be the bad guy because he pops up a lot. But I had him pop up a lot because that's what happened when we had a guide. He just was kind of omnipresent.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to make a living that way, I mean, you have to be there earning the money or whatever that you hope you're going to get. And he also had some interesting relations as well, didn't he?
Yeah, his cousin is a prostitute, so you get sort of a view of some of her world and the people she knows.
So I thought it gave a nice picture. You get to see both the way the king's family reacts. You know, the king is dead, long live the king, but you have to go through a certain amount of ritual. And I thought that by putting it at the end of the year or approaching the unlucky time, all of a sudden they're under tremendous pressure. And they'd like to believe the king just dropped dead, but obviously, since you were in charge of the plot, that was not the case, right?
It wouldn't have been nearly as interesting if he died of natural causes in a murder mystery. You have to have a murder.
Yeah. Now, did you do research specifically for this book, or did you use what you had learned because you were interested in this in the Maya?
Well, both. I had done a lot of research for Skyknife. I did a lot of research for this novel as well, but I did more wider research because we really don't have anything about Teotihuacan. They didn't leave any written records, and by the time the Aztecs discovered the city and named it Teotihuacan, it had been empty for some centuries. So we don't really know who lived there or how they structured their society. Some of the things I put in the book were kind of borrowed from the Aztecs, but a lot of the architecture, the art, you know, I bought books on the artwork and the murals of Teotihuacan, and so tried to get the feel of the city right, and then to kind of go with what would it be like if there were a big urban area, you know, in the Valley of Mexico. So you can always assume there's going to be prostitutes and thieves and whatever.
And that there will have to be a bureaucracy to make sure that the market is regulated. And
right. Somebody have taxes, and those things just follow from having a city.
Now, did you develop your characters? I mean, are they traits from people you know, or do they just sort of spring to life in your mind?
Well, since this was a murder mystery, they were more plotted out with, you know, each character had a sheet on what their past was like. Everybody had to have some secret that had to be uncovered so that they could appear to be the bad guy. Everybody had a goal in life that might conflict with, you know, his Skyknife's trying to find out what's going on. So I had kind of people on a grid on, you know, what they'd done in their past, what they wanted in their future, what their current job was, you know, that he could go around and discover all these things.
And I thought he was perfectly placed as an outsider. I mean, he could ask some pretty dumb questions. And
that's the great thing about the stranger character is very popular.
Right. Well, it does make it pretty easy to sort of explain the situation you're in. And it even makes him, I think, believable to the people he's questioning, because they can quite legitimately, the king's sister-in-law can quite legitimately say, that's the dumbest question I've ever heard in my life.
Well, it's a big rule, I think. You can really have rules in writing, but one of the rules that I would not want to break would don't have characters ask other characters things they already know. You know,
Right.
You've got to have somebody who does legitimately has a reason to say, I don't know what's going on, so that the reader can be filled in.
Right. Well, I want to thank you very much for talking with us today,
Thank you.
Marella. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed what Marella Sands had to say. You can find her books at the library and your favorite bookstore. Coming up next, Susie Beasley will be talking with Glenn Aguilar about some of the holdings we have that are in Spanish.
Glenn, tell me about this book, Sandwiches by Zena Berghoff. What is this book about?
This book is a version actually in Spanish about sandwiches. And
Okay.
it basically is how to make easy and fast sandwiches.
Mm-hmm. And how is the book organized?
This book is, some of the features that I like is organized where it describes every sandwich, gives you a recipe, and also a beautiful illustration of how the sandwich is supposed to look like, which is something I really enjoy, because you kind of see the final product of what you're making.
Right.
At the same time, it gives you some suggestions of how you can vary this particular sandwich.
Yeah, little variations and everything like that.
Right.
So now some of the special features of the book, you mentioned the suggestions about other sandwiches and things like that, and what you can do as far as variety. For instance, if someone's on a special diet, they may not add just regular mayo, they may add low-calorie type.
That is correct. They'll give you some suggestion if you're. It also tells you about vegetarians a lot in there.
Okay, so when people think of sandwiches, they are only thinking about some with meat.
Normally, that's
Right.
kind of the idea.
But there are some that are vegetarian planted.
You bet.
Okay then. What drew you to this book?
Excuse me?
What drew you to this book? Why did you just pick up a book on sandwiches?
Sandwiches are number one. I love to cook. I'm always trying to cook something different, and this particular book has a lot of different sandwiches. Normally we make a ham and cheese sandwich, a turkey sandwich, and there we go.
Grilled cheese.
Right. But this one, it gives you a lot of different choices, and what's good about it, it's got a page in there. It gives you a guide where it explains the calories.
Right.
It tells you if it's an American sandwich or not.
And the different breads, I believe.
And different breads, and also it tells you if it's something you can make early in the morning, you can take it to your office if it's going to make it through a few hours or not.
Or it need to be refrigerated.
Right.
So this is really neat, and this book is in Spanish, and it is at the Capitol Hill Library.
It sure is.
Kind of give us a kind of an idea of your library use. I mean, do you use the library at Capitol Hill a lot, and are you impressed with the Spanish materials there?
Yes. The Capitol Hill Library has a lot of Spanish materials there. I enjoy taking my kids there, and a lot of Spanish community members take their kids there, which is, I think it's very fabulous, the fact that you can find that in English and Spanish.
And in Spanish.
It gives you the choice, you know. So if there's not like you go and there's only Spanish and you can't find the same book in English, so you can go both ways
Go
there.
both ways, and this is really, it's a good learning experience too.
A great
for the
learning
families. If they
experience.
want to learn Spanish, they can go and do it both
You
ways
bet.
there.
And a lot of people have a tendency to learn Spanish now.
That's neat. Well, Glenn, we really appreciate you coming and sharing with us Sandwiches by Zina Berthoff, and it's translated by R.G.
Guillermo.
And this book is available in Spanish and in English in the Metropolitan Library System, and we appreciate you for coming and sharing with us. You may find this in a specialty bookstore, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Glenn.
Dig it! Dig it at Metro Library. Call this number. Dig it, baby! Dig it at Metro Library. Call this number.
Hi, I'm Donna Morris, Executive Director of your Metropolitan Library System. You know, experts tell us it's never too early to begin reading to a child. If you spend just 20 minutes a day reading to a child, you're not only building a bond that lasts a lifetime, but you're helping that child to prepare to learn how to read. Visit us at the Metropolitan Library System and let us help you select just the right books for you and your family. And be sure and visit our website at www.metrolibrary.org.
Well, Doug Benton is with me again, and I'm going to surprise him by talking about a mystery.
That is surprising.
Yes,
you
it
don't
is.
read mysteries very often.
No,
do you?
I really don't. But this one, I've been hearing, there's been a lot of buzz about this particular author, Alexander McCall Smith, and he's written a series of books. They've been published originally in the United Kingdom, and they're now being brought out here in the United States. And they're all about a lady who owns the #1 ladies detective agency. Yeah, I know, you kind of laugh when you hear it. This is set in Botswana, in the capital of Gaborone, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Ma Ramotswe, that's kind of like Mrs. Ramotswe, is the proprietor and chief detective of the #1 ladies detective agency. And she goes around solving crime in Botswana. McCall Smith actually teaches legal medical law at the University of Edinburgh, but he was born in Zimbabwe and taught at the university in Botswana for a number of years, so he very much knows what he's writing about. And there are real crimes to solve. Mrs. Ramotswe goes around, trying to find things. Her big case in Tears of the Giraffe, which is the book I'm talking about here, is the disappearance 10 years ago of a young man, a young American boy. His parents were living in Botswana. They were working for one of the international agencies. Their son got involved in a communal farm and decided to stay there and work he wanted to help the people of Botswana rather than going to college. His parents went home. He disappeared one night. Was never heard from again. The police looked for a while. His mother came back. She even hired a bushman tracker to try to find him. And now she's not looking to punish anybody. She just wants to know where her son's body is. I mean, she knows he's dead, and that's all she wants. There are a few other little things. A man comes in and is worried about, is his wife unfaithful or not? And you're sitting there after he explains that she doesn't get up till noon, and then she leaves the house and doesn't come home till midnight every night, and her husband's beginning to think there might be something going on.
Well, do you get some information about local customs and local color from the books?
Very definitely. You learn slowly that Botswana is a country that for Africa is very stable, that the people are transitioning from cattle herders to, I guess, what we would call industrial civilization. It's a delightful book. I wish I had more time because I would read something from it, but I'm being told we're out of time. So coming up next is Kids Corner. Rosemary Zarsky will be talking with Kelly Rhea about a book for our young adults.
Hi, Rosemary Zarsky is here. She brought Charlotte's Rose. It's by A.E. Cannon. Rosemary, I think you enjoyed this.
I did indeed. It was about a spunky Welsh girl who immigrated in the 1800s from Wales, and she didn't speak any English. And she and the people with her were going to Salt Lake City to join the Mormons there. And when they started this project, the Mormons started the project, they had carts, but by the time it's her turn, they're drawing hand-drawn carts, and they can't carry much stuff. So it was intriguing just to see what they had to go through. And then Rose is a baby that was born to another woman, and the woman died on the trail.
Oh my.
And nobody thinks the baby's going to live, and Charlotte says she will, and she will get there.
So this young girl
12-year-old
ventures
girl.
to take on an infant.
Right, just when she's just beginning to bud into adulthood. So you get an interesting mix of child and woman, caring and wanting to be cared for.
Oh, what a sweet story. And it, obviously the setting is the frontier pioneer life. So they didn't have an easy time of it.
Oh, no.
And there's this group trying to move across these unsettled.
Right. Can you imagine only getting to carry about 15 pounds of belongings?
I'm sure it would become very heavy after about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So to look to do that for several months would be a challenge.
It would be, and it was, and that was another interesting aspect of the book, was seeing how various people, various characters in the book responded to that challenge or failed to respond. And so it is very good, and it covered an area of history that when I was studying American history, I didn't get introduced to, so it was introducing a new phase of an old tale.
Wow, well, great. And you're very well read, so for you to find something a little unusual, it's kind of a surprise.
Well, it was, historically speaking, a very big surprise for me, so I plan to go back and look a little bit more.
Wow, well, I'll have to look for this book. It's called Charlotte's Rose. It's by A.E. Cannon, and Rosemary recommends it. You can find it at your local bookstore or at your favorite library.
Thanks, Rosemary and Kelly. It's time now for the New York Times bestseller list. We'll start out with hardback fiction. Number 10 on that list is Tim LaHaye and Jerry Jenkins' Armageddon, The Guardian by Nicholas Sparks, The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold, The Devil Wears Prada by Laura Weisberger, Flirting with Pete by Barbara Delinsky, Naked Prey by John Sanford, The Face by Dean Koontz, The King of Torts by John Grisham, The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown is number 2, and James Patterson's The Lake House is number 1. On the nonfiction list, Me and My Dad by Paul O'Neill with Burton Rocks is number 10, Beyond Belief by Lane Pagels, Robert Patterson's Dereliction of Duty, A Short History of Nearly Everything by Bill Bryson, Open by John Feinstein, Moneyball by Michael Lewis, An Unfinished Life by Robert Dalick, Who's Your Caddy by Rick Riley, David Halberstam's The Teammates is number 2, and Living History by Hillary Rodham Clinton is number 1. On the children's list, and this was done before last Friday night, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling, Artemis Fowl, The Arctic Incident by Ian Colfer, Finding Nemo, Best Dad in the Sea by Amy Tyler, the Lizzie McGuire movie adapted by J.G. Weiss and Bobby Weiss, Junie B., First Grader, Boss of Lunch by Barbara Park, High Tide in Hawaii by Mary Pope Osborne, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants by Anne Brashares, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling is number 2, and Holes by Louis Sekar is number 1. Coming up next, we have Doug Benton of the Metropolitan Library System and the Oklahoma Gazette. He'll be talking with downtowner Jim Nemo about some CDs I'm sure you'll be interested in.
Hello again, everyone. Jim, you're with me. Thank you for dropping by to talk about some music with us. And it's more modern music this time.
Yes, I've selected a CD of all the late 20th century music, you know, the previous century that everybody thinks is so modern, but actually it contains music that is very famous and very well known. This particular CD, played by the Concertgebouw Orchestra of Amsterdam and conducted by Ricardo Chailly, contains a suite of music from the Firebird Suite, which many people know, and it also contains the complete music from the ballet Apollo, which was the first ballet with which Stravinsky and George Balanchine, the famous choreographer, collaborated. It was the first great success of Balanchine, and it's still danced. All the male ballet dancers are either made or broken over how they interpret the role of Apollo. It's still a very popular piece.
I didn't realize that. It's kind of the Hamlet of ballet, huh?
Yes, it's a very good analogy. Yeah, I like that. Also on the CD is a rather unknown piece called Scherzo Fantastique, which was an early piece of Stravinsky written just prior to the Firebird. But I also thought I could point out that Stravinsky did not live in an ivory tower, and probably his most infamous piece is the Rite of Spring. You could also call it the Riot of Spring, because at its premiere in 1912 in Paris, there were actual fistfights broke out among the audience members over the, let's say, the quality of this music. And some people thought it was not music and it was just noise. You know, so the argument over what is music continues even to this day. At one time, it was considered Brahms was unable to write a tune. But you know, Brahms is a standard.
A standard, yeah. So, Stravinsky, and the CD is all Stravinsky, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So people were actually rioting in the streets over his music. But Rite of Spring is not on this.
It's
CD,
not on this piece. But I just wanted to point out that among the famous pieces, there are also there's background to everything. Everything is not isolated or
right. Yeah. For our viewers who may not be familiar with Rite of Spring, if you've seen Fantasia, the segment with the dinosaurs, is Rite of Spring.
That's the concluding section of the ballet, the Dance of Death, where the ballerina is required to sacrifice herself in the story of the ballet to propitiate the gods of spring, to make sure that the crops grow and the rains come and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. I assume that the recording is well done. The orchestra is fine.
Oh yes, the Concertgebouw of Amsterdam is one of the premier orchestras in my opinion, and in most people's opinion. It's right up there with the Berlin Philharmonic and Chicago Symphony.
Okay, thank you very much. Stravinsky Ballet Music. Jim, thanks.
You're welcome.
We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Doug and Jim. Coming up next, Heidi Port from the Downtown Library will be talking with a North Edmond High School student, Josh Ward, about a book I'm sure we'll all enjoy.
So Josh, you read And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Can you tell us a little bit about the book?
All right. Well, 10 strangers were brought to the island, and they didn't know anything about each other. But the one thing they all had in common were they, in the past, murdered someone, yet it was escapable by the law. They never got their retribution or justice from it.
So can you tell me a little bit about the administration of justice in the book?
All right. Well, unlike the traditional mystery murder mystery book, it really focuses on the murderers themselves. A detective really didn't hunt down the bad guy, sort of. This is a book that kind of focuses on one person's sense of justice and sense of how he needs to bring justice to these people.
Okay, and what about the theme of the 10 Little Indians that's running throughout the
poem,
book? How is
yes.
that?
In each of the bedrooms on this house that's on the island, there's a nursery rhyme telling how 10 little Indians ended up dying. And it's a real kiddish, silly nursery rhyme, but it will, it's kind of the foreboding foreshadowing that progresses the book on. And the characters, in the end, they know this, but it fails to let them survive. So.
And I've read the book, so part of the way they know this is by a centerpiece that's on the dining room table.
Yes, there's 10 little Indians set on the dining room table, and after each person has been murdered with correlation with the nursery rhyme, it's removed. A 10 little Indian, or one little Indian is removed. So it's kind of a foreboding, kind of scary sense.
So did you figure this book out before you got to the end? Did you know?
Well, I'd have to tell you a little bit about the person that did it, but no, I really didn't. I had an idea, but I was wrong. So it's a very interesting book, though.
And so you would recommend, do you read much Agatha Christie? Is this
no, this is actually the only one I've read of her, but it's very good, and I think I'll try her again.
Okay. And do you think that you learned anything about justice through?
Yeah, I think you would learn a little bit of justice in the sense that this was carried out without trials, and where the law could not really touch these people, this one person ended up taking justice in their own hands. So whether you agree with what the character did or not, you'd have to decide for yourself.
Well, thanks so much, Josh, for bringing in And There Were None by Agatha Christie. It was a fun read for me.
Well, thank you.
Dig it, matey. Dig it at Metro Library. Call this number. Dig it. Dig it at Metro Library. Call this number.
Find out everything you ever wanted to know about your library by visiting our website at www.metrolibrary.org. You can find out about programs for adults and young people. There's lots of information about summer reading, which almost every library in the state of Oklahoma has going on. So visit your local library and sign your children up today. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again soon.
Local presentation of Read About It is made possible in part by a grant from Cox Communications of Oklahoma City. proud sponsor of this effort to promote reading, education, and literacy in our community.